Today we want to review multiplying our radicals. So simplifying our radical expressions where we have to multiply radicals. If I'm looking at just a radical times a radical, right, the first step is to put it together and make it one radical. So I actually do the multiplying because they're both under radicals. So that leaves me the square root of 150. Or in the second one, the cubed root of 675. Or 128 times 3 is 384. So the fourth root of 384. After I multiply them together, now it's just like simplifying the ones from yesterday. So now instead of breaking it into random things like 10 and 15, I want to break 150 into a perfect square and whatever's left. So I look at my squares and I say biggest perfect square that I can divide 150 by is 25. So I'm going to break this into 25 times 6. So the square root of 25 times the square root of 6. So now I picked nice thing to break it into, one that I already would know the answer to. Right? I didn't know the square root of 10 or the square root of 15, but if I put it together and then break it back apart into 25 times 6 instead, right, I do know the square root of 25 is 5, and that gives me 5 square roots of 6. In the second one, the biggest perfect cube that I can divide 675 by. Maybe I'm going to try 125 first, but that gives me a decimal, so it must not be 125. It's not going to be an even number because it doesn't end in an even number. So what if I tried 27? Oh, yep, 27 works. So I can say 675 is really 27 times 25. So I have the cubed root of 27 times the cubed root of 25. The cubed root of 27 was a perfect. The answer to that was just 3. And then I still have the cubed root of 25. Right, so these were adding that one step from yesterday where we first had to multiply those values together. Then we simplify the same as yesterday. So fourths, what perfect fourth can I divide 384 by? So if I look and try a couple, I can't divide it by 256. Try 81, but that didn't work, so it must be 16. Yep, 16 works. I could write it as 16 times 24. So then I can break that up into the fourth root of 16 times the fourth root of 24. The fourth root of 16 was my perfect. That was 2. The fourth root of 24 isn't a perfect, and I can't divide it by any perfects. So my final answer is 2 fourth roots of 24. And a few more examples of multiplying. What if there are numbers in front also? Right? Multiplying, this is just all multiplying, and I know multiplying I can change the order. So in my head, I'm picturing rewriting it 5 times 3 times the square root of 6 times the square root of 12. Right? You don't have to actually write that down, but I'm picturing that so I can put together these parts and these parts. 5 times 3 is 15, and the square root of 6 times the square root of 12 is the square root of 72. So I actually multiply the stuff together first, the outside parts and the inside parts separately, and then I try to break up my square root of 72. So I look and I say, what perfect square can I divide 72 by? And I think I can divide 72, well, I can divide it by 9, but is that the biggest perfect? No, I think 36 is the biggest perfect square. Always want to find the biggest because otherwise I have to keep going, right? Let's look at this one as if I didn't find the biggest. What if I picked 9? Right? So if I broke this into 9 times 8, right, then I would have had the square root of 9 and the square root of 8, which gives me 3 square roots of 8, and I still have that times 15 in the front. Right. So that's 45 square roots of 8. But can I still divide 8 by any perfect squares? Right. I can still divide 8 by 4. So I could write that as 4 times 2, or the square root of 4 and the square root of 2, which would really be 2 square roots of 2. And I still have the times 45 in the front. So we end up with 90 square roots of 2. Now, that's okay, right? It's just extra work from if I would have gotten to here and said, instead of 9 times 8, 15 square roots of 72. 72 is 36 times 2. So the square root of 36 and the square root of 2 is 6 square roots of 2 times 15. 15 times 6 is 90 square roots of 2, right? If I don't find the biggest, it's just extra work, right? I always want to check when I'm done to make sure the number under the radical doesn't have any perfects as factors. So if I look at the next one and start by multiplying those together, 3 times 3 is 9, and then under my cubed roots, 4 times 36 is 144. So I look at my perfect cubes and I look for the biggest cube I can divide 144 by, right? I can't divide it by anything bigger than itself, so can't divide it by 125, can't divide it by 64. I get a decimal when I try by 27, but 8 worked, right? It was 8 times 18. So I could write it as the cubed root of 8 times the cubed root of 18. The cubed root of 8 is really 2, so I have 2 cubed roots of 18, but I still have that multiplying by 9 in the front. So altogether then, that gives me 18, 9 times 2, cubed roots of 18. And a couple last examples that involve variables. So if I have my cubed root times a cubed root, I multiply the parts underneath. 6 times 16 is 96, and x cubed times x to the first was x to the fourth, right? 3 plus 1 gave me 4, and that's under a cubed root. So multiply it together first, then try to break it up into nice things. Right? So I'm going to break first into the cubed root of 96 and the cubed root of x to the fourth and look at one at a time. 96, what perfect cube can I divide 96 by? Well, I want to find the biggest, but 64 doesn't work and 27 doesn't work. 8 does. It's 8 times 12. So I can break that into 8 times 12, or the cubed root of 8 times the cubed root of 12. The cubed root of 8 was 2. So I get 2 cubed roots of 12. Right? Then the cubed root of x to the fourth. When I have variables, I know I need to simplify anytime that number under the radical is bigger than my index, right? That means I can take out some, or I'm going to have a whole part, because my fraction is going to be greater than 1 if I rewrite it either as x to the 4/3, which is 1 1/3. That means I have 1x on the outside, and then x to the 1/3 power is really the cubed root of x, right? I like to break it into x cubed and another x, right? Knowing that I need this number for my first one, my perfect, to be divisible by 3. The cubed root of x cubed is just x, and I still have the cubed root of x. So my final answer is going to put the 2 and the x, the parts not under the cubed root, in the front, and then my cubed root of 12x underneath. And my last one. If I multiply 3 times 3, the numbers on the outside, I get 9. The parts on the inside, if I multiply those together, 12 times 3 is 36. A to the fourth times a to the first is a to the fifth, and b cubed times b to the first is b to the fourth. Right, so first step, multiply it all together. Then try to break it apart into nice things. So I have 9 times the square root of 36, the square root of a to the fifth, and the square root of b to the fourth. Right? The square root of b to the fourth is already a perfect because 4 divided by 2 is already a whole number. The square root of a to the fifth is not a perfect, right? Because I'm going to have a leftover decimal or fraction part when I do 5 over 2. Okay. And the square root of 36, though, is a perfect. That's just 6. So I don't need to break up the square root of 36 because I already know the answer. The square root of a to the 5th, though, I want to break up into something divisible by 2, so that's 4 of them, and then there's still one more left. Right? The square root of a to the 4th is a squared, and then I still have a square root of a. The square root of b to the 4th is b squared. If I put all of the parts that are not under radicals together, 9 times 6 is 54, an a squared, a b squared, but I still have a square root with an a underneath. So seeing if you could try a few similar problems with multiplying radicals.